In the criminal justice system, crimes against laptops are considered especially heinous. In New Haven, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Technological Victims Unit. Working with the Yale Student Techs, they solve these crimes. These are their stories.
Something by your feet there. What is it?
Ethernet cord, looks like.
Well, what happened here?
Gentlemen, we have a female Gateway MX7515 covered in fluids with a broken hinge and a fried hard drive. Some maintenance man found her around midnight and made the 911 call.
Is there any LCD damage?
No, you really don't want to do that. It's really not pretty. She's pretty beat up, including the LCD screen.
I can handle it.
We think that she was thrown from that higher roof up there down to this lower landing, and that's what caused most of the damage.
Poor thing. Any identification?
Well, the serial key's been rubbed off, but we'll know more when we take her into the lab.
Any idea why someone would just dump her here?
Probably just another negligent owner who didn't feel like facing the consequences. This poor laptop's not the first, and certainly not the last.
That's for sure. But if we do our job right, this owner won't have the chance to destroy another innocent computer. Alright, so what do we have here?
15-inch, 11-month-old Gateway MX7515 running Windows Vista. Residual charge on the battery shows that she's been out of commission for about 3 days.
Any evidence of abuse?
Well, there was some damage to the LCD and the hinge, but most likely due to repeated carrying from the top of the screen and pressure applied to the screen itself. As you can see, there's obviously also cracks on the screen itself, but our evidence shows that this was done post-mortem. Further, there was damage to the hard drive and significant cracking and denting to the exterior of the computer. But I think that this was because of lack of carrying case used during transport.
What was the cause of death?
Liquid exposure, actually. There were traces of coffee and, get this, urine on the motherboard.
Were you able to get an ID?
Well, not exactly. The motherboard itself is too fried for me to get a serial number out of the BIOS, but I was able to find a label with a series of numbers and digits. These didn't seem to signify anything at first, but then I thought about it, and the Yale Student Techs, they use labels such as this to track their servicing. They might be able to help you some more.
Hi, and welcome to the Technology Troubleshooting Office. What can I do for you today?
I'm Detective Stenson. This is Detective Fabler. We're with the Technological Victims Unit. We found a label from your tracking system on a recently deceased laptop, and it's our only means of identification.
Technological Victims Unit, you say? Well, we normally just don't dole out information about tickets. But considering the limited length of this movie, I'll see what I can do. Okay, ticket 17851. Oh, okay, I remember this one. A nasty coffee spill. We were able to save her, though.
Yeah, and how's that?
Well, with a liquid spill, the first thing you have to do is to cut off all power to the computer. That means turning it off, unplugging it, and removing the battery. And we ask that you do this as soon as possible after a liquid spill occurs. And that's what she did. She brought in the computer, we took it apart, we left the parts to dry, and according to my records, After about 72 hours of drying, we put her back together, and everything seemed to be working just fine.
Now, this was a coffee spill, correct? Not any urine.
Oh, definitely not urine. We get some of those, but we have to turn them away because of health reasons.
I can understand that. Who's responsible for this computer?
Well, it's Margaret Whitmire, a Davenport College senior.
One more thing. Did you notice, besides the spill, any other damage to the laptop?
Well, she certainly wasn't the best cared for laptop I've ever seen, but not the worst either. I noticed that the owner was just stuffing her in a bag with a bunch of books, instead of using a case, so her cover was getting scratched up pretty badly. Also, I noticed the owner wasn't waiting for the hard drive to spin down before transporting her.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, a hard drive is one of a very few moving parts inside a laptop. And while a laptop is on, the hard drive is spinning very quickly. Any movement to the laptop while the hard drive is spinning increases the risk of damaging the hard drive. And a damaged hard drive means there's a strong possibility of losing all of the files on the computer. That's why it's so important to back up your data frequently and to shut down your computer or put it to sleep before transporting it.
Now, this Margaret Whitmire, did she seem like a caring parent for her laptop?
Well, she seemed like every other student, really busy, but when I advised her about putting her laptop to sleep, she seemed to be genuinely appreciative.
Doesn't sound like the kind of person who would leave their laptop out in the cold to die.